All right, it's been about a month since we were able to visit with the one and only Aaron Torres, who, of course, is on Fox Sports Radio, the Aaron Torres Sports Podcast, and owner of Torres Media. You got a Razorback connection there, of course. Torres on Arkansas, if you want to look online. AT is on our Lewis Automotive Hotline right now, and a happy Friday to you, Aaron. How have you been?
I've been great. I won't discuss with you what was going on in Razorbacks athletics the last time we spoke, but I'm excited. I'm happy. Obviously, credit Coach Cal. There was some Razorbacks in the news this week. By the way, in a sheer fit of irony, I happened to stop by and see, former Razorbacks coach Eric Musselman on Tuesday, or Wednesday, whatever day it was. And then I look up and Coach Cal's having his own media availability. So it's pretty cool, all these programs that are giving media access in the summer. And we don't have to talk about Coach Muss, but I just thought it was interesting that I saw him on the same day that Coach Cal, made Arkansas basketball available.
Well, I want to play one cut here from Cal's press conference after the practice and just get a sense from you. You know his time at Kentucky very, very well, from the inside and a little bit as well. So listening to this and then to get a reaction.
You can tell I'm more comfortable. Like, I had to walk in here. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the campus. You guys understand, I never was on this campus. We went from the graduate down the back way, and I'm thinking, this is awful, to that building, and most times it was dark. We came in late, and maybe in the afternoon we'd come down, but we went the back way. And I saw, the Clinton House. Look, they got that thing in front. So I didn't even know what the campus was. I didn't know anybody, all that stuff. So I'm just more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds the way he's describing his first, I don't know how long that was, his time at Arkansas. That's the same experience that a visiting coach will have, coming from the hotel, going on the bus and just kind of going the back way, the quickest way there. And there were times last year where it felt like Cal wasn't, comfortable in his skin as the Razorback coach. He certainly seems that he is now. He's got a roster that he wanted to show off. That's what a lot of people took from just having this open practice and press conference overall. But he also sounds like somebody who isn't just getting used to being the Razorback coach. Now he is, and he's comfortable in it.
Yeah, so I agree with everything you said, Phil. I don't want to relitigate the whole, leaving Kentucky for Arkansas thing. But I do think it is worth noting, when you're somewhere 15 years and you think you're going to retire there, and then in the span of a 2 to 3 day period, you have to make a life-altering decision, it's going to take some time. And again, I don't want to make this about the former place, but, I even go back to, I don't know if you even remember this, Phil, but, he accepted the job on that Sunday night, and I think it was a Tuesday or a Wednesday. He actually put out like a goodbye almost statement. And I think even in that moment, I don't know that he really wanted to leave as much as, he knew his time was done. And so I bring it up because we've all been in situations where something comes to an end that we really don't want or don't expect at the very least. And, you have to adjust. And so I do think it took him a while. I do think it took him, I'll be honest, I think – to me, I still go back to, and I know this might be obvious, but I think it took going to Rupp Arena that night, silencing those quote-unquote demons, silencing 20,000 people in blue. That was the moment to me that it was like, okay, you're the guy now, and there's no coming back. So I'm not surprised, but what I would also say is I agree 100% with what he said and what you said of not only does he have a team that he likes and all that, but I just think he's now in a place where he's comfortable, where it's his, where to his point, he knows the people in the building, he knows Hunter Yurachek, he knows the custodians, he knows the people that make breakfast in the morning. And so, I just, I think it's easy for all of us to get caught up in a moment last April, May, and you realize that, again, a whole guy's life is uprooted at 64, 65 years old, and he's in a place that he never thought he'd be, but now he's there, and it's very clearly that he's happy where he's at.
It's no secret Coach Cal likes freshmen. He can coach freshmen. The new way, if you're thinking about the Final Four the last 4 or 5 years, I know UConn had Stephen Castle was a freshman, but he was the best athlete on the floor. Does it worry you a little bit that we're going to be so freshman heavy this next year?
No, first of all, I don't believe that, I think there's this narrative that you can't win with freshmen. I think if the freshmen are good enough, you're fine. But I don't, by Cal standards, this is, I would have to go back and look as far as experience is concerned. I mean, Nick Pringle, fifth-year guy, Malik Ewan, third, fourth, fifth-year guy, whatever he is, Trevin Brazil, fifth-year guy, DJ Wagner, third-year guy, even Carter and Billy. I mean, they've got a full year of SEC experience under their wings. And so I remember talking to you guys about this last year at this time, is that I think even last year was the first year that I didn't really feel like Coach Cal was really, really, really reliant on freshmen. I think what's more interesting, Matt, is that I think him being so vocal about, hey, this is where the sport is going. And, it's funny to Phil's last point and last question about, Coach Cal kind of being comfortable in his own skin in Arkansas. I think it's interesting to me how he's kind of changed the Coach Cal branding. Is I think when he was at Kentucky, he felt the obligation to only get 5 stars, to only get the best recruits, and to only put them into the league as fast as possible, because it goes back to his opening press conference there where he said, we're going to recruit the best, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, whatever. And I think at Arkansas, he can kind of, rebrand himself of, hey, look, I'm still going to recruit NBA caliber talent, but I don't have to rush them out the door, especially in this era. I was thinking about it yesterday, guys. I'll be quick because I don't go on long. It almost reminds me of like when you're young and you're in high school, and this probably didn't apply to Matt because you were the big multi-sport star. But like sometimes in high school you're a little bit of a nerd, or you have you don't have very many friends or whatever. Then you go to college and you kind of change your haircut and you dress a little different, and you're like, you go to college, nobody knows you. You can start over and kind of basically, rebrand yourself as a person. And I kind of feel like that's what Cal's doing right now, of just, hey, I was the one-and-done guy. I was the freshman guy. I don't have to be that anymore. The Arkansas fan base has no expectation other than that I win. And I think he enjoyed having older players last year, and I think it's clear he enjoyed it so much that he built through a lot of older guys this year as well.
There's another soundbite I want to play for you, and I'll just introduce it with a couple of weeks. I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago. Can't remember exactly when. Remy Cofield, who is the general manager, who was hired in March for Arkansas athletics overall. Now, he's not just the GM for the football team, is the way that it was described to us. He said he hadn't met Cal yet, but he had spoken to some of his coaches. And I've wondered about the general manager role for a basketball team in college, especially when it's run by somebody like, well, if it's just run by John Calipari. It's like, well, you're going to tell me how you view this player that I'm about to evaluate. And I just kind of wondered if this is the sort of thing where you speak a little bit, get out of the guy's way. And he did speak a little bit on how he views the general manager role.
I think, again, in football and maybe other sports, but I'm dealing with 12 guys. And there's 2 things. You're saying dealing with agents. Well, I know all these agents. I was in the NBA for a while. I know them. My staff knows them. Who's going to evaluate the player? Me. So now I'm like, yes, can you get us deals? Can you get NIL deals? Can you turn us on to that kind of stuff? Absolutely, I want them involved in those things. But to evaluate players or to what's a kid's value to this team? I got to do that.
I guess general manager roles are going to be different depending on the relationship that they each have with each coach or school to school. But in this case, I'd never thought of a general manager as somebody that's going out and getting NIL deals or that department, and I'm not saying there's a conflict here, but I thought that was an interesting answer.
All I will say, I think this is the single most interesting story in sports that I don't think, enough people talk about. Is the role is just different everywhere, and it's consumed by different people. It's consumed by people different everywhere, right? So, like, UConn's basketball general manager is a former assistant coach who kind of just didn't want to be on the road recruiting anymore. He knows everybody. He's got the contacts. And it's kind of his job, I think, to monitor. His job, I know him. His job is not to negotiate and say, hey, you want 1.2, we'll give you 800, let's meet in the middle. Whereas North Carolina's basketball GM is a former NBA agent with a finance background, and that's his exact job. And so what's just interesting to me is it's different everywhere. By the way, I saw, I don't know if you guys know this, Ron Rivera, the former NFL head coach, is the Cal football general manager. He doesn't report to the he doesn't even report. How about this? Not only does he not report to the head coach, he doesn't report to the AD. He reports to the school president. So everywhere it's different. But what I do think, and I think the majority of it in basketball, is the head coach has the final say on personnel. Now, maybe we'll get to a place someday in the future where it is a professional model of the GM picks the players and the coach coaches them. I don't think we're anywhere near that yet in all of college basketball and most of college football. But it doesn't mean that it's not going to change, in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, because so much has changed. But it's interesting to hear, Cal, that I would say that sentiment is largely what I hear from most people, especially in the basketball space.
Aaron, I do want to ask you about USC and Coach Muss. How is it looking out there? Do you think that he has success, a little more success in year two?
Yeah, I actually give him a ton of credit. I think he learned a lot in year one in the Big Ten. Listen, USC has as difficult of a travel schedule as any team in college basketball. That's not something you can adjust to. But, you come from the SEC. The SEC is obviously, as Jimmy Dykes says, it's the second most athletic league in the world behind only the NBA. The Big Ten is old school, banging, grinding, physicality. And the one thing, I was at a couple of his practices last year, and I went this week, They are still the Eric Musselman athleticism, but they are much, much bigger. I mean, they got a kid, I think, they actually have the kid who led college basketball in blocks last year. He's about 7'3". He played it somewhere, I forget. They probably have about 3 or 4 guys that run 6'11" or bigger. You guys know Coach Muss, that is not normal. But then they still have the athleticism on the wing. Chad Baker-Mazara, don't forget, is now playing for Coach Muss. He was actually back in the Dominican Republic this week. He was not with the team. He was visiting family in his home country. So I actually give Coach Muss a ton of credit, because the thing we all know about Coach Muss, he's a competitor. He is not. He's not coming to LA to retire and kick his feet up and go to the beach. And it's a much bigger team. It's a much more athletic team. Now, I'll just say quickly, I think because of the travel, there's just going to be some losses baked into the schedule where you have to fly east and, play 12 hours later and your body clock's all screwed up. But I see very much the same thing I've seen from a lot of Muss teams, which is you put that team on a neutral court against different teams that have not seen them. I think they're going to give them fits. That looks like a team to me that is built to win in March, and I think they're going to be much, much more competitive at the top of the Big Ten next year.
BetOnline continues to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball in full swing and football season right around the corner, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB, UFC to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains your choice for sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Head to the website today and take advantage of their industry-leading VIP program with level-up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. BetOnline. The game starts here.